All right, leaders, this is the vlog for November 22nd and 23rd. We are going to continue on in our series in senior high on biblical manhood. And so let me go through that real quick. The study sheet is going to look basically the same, but let me talk through the questions real quick. I changed up the discussion questions this week so that there'd be something new to talk about. So for the girls, I wrote, as you listen to Vody talk about biblical manhood, what are ways that you can help your friends who are guys become godlier men? Now, girls, ladies, I don't want this to turn into a modesty talk. There will be an element of that when we talk about biblical womanhood. So this is not that, so don't let your discussion go in that direction. This is a direction about encouragement. How can you encourage young men to love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength? So make sure as you steer that discussion that we don't delve into places that we really don't need to be going yet. There will be an element of that later. So those are good ideas. Come up with ideas of your own. And yeah, so that was the only question I had specifically for the girls. I figure girls will be able to talk through that. And it is a very limited time compared to other times that we have the talk. I think our video is still another 30 plus minutes long. So yes, guys, what priorities do you need to change in your life to become a godlier man? Guys, this is definitely when Vody talks about, the ball field, the bedroom, and the billfold, this is that discussion. What priorities in your young men's small group's life need to be changed? So have them identify things in their lives that are idols. Have them identify, their sports team is an idol, or their sport is an idol. Girls is definitely an idol for teenage guys, and and making money is an idol. Cars are an idol. Those types of things. What priorities need to change for them to become men of God? And so talk through that. And then the second question is, there was a lot of talk about relationships last week. I want to pull back from that and talk about the outward demonstration of godliness in their lives. How does godliness make you different from the world? So as they talk about growing closer to God, or as they talk about a shift in these priorities, what then does it look like? How does that become an outward manifestation of an inward change? And so we want to get at it. Don't stray into moralism. You have to be, this, and this. Make sure you're having a biblical discussion on what it looks like to be a Christian in a world that doesn't like Christians. The last question I have down here is for both. It says, what is the driving force behind godliness? How should that change our outlook on life? Now, this one is interesting. I wrote this question purposefully in a way to help the young people understand that we're empowered by the Holy Spirit, number one. But if we are empowered and indwelt by the Holy Spirit, our outlook on life should be different from that of the world's. So we want to. You might get into subjects like depression. You might get into self-harm, those types of things. And I would just want you to be ready for those things, because we do have kids that claim to be Christians but struggle. So we want to talk about how a life focused on Christ will be a life not focused on self. And most of those things that they deal with, those things of depression and that type of stuff, really flow from focusing on self. And we're not making any clinical diagnoses here. We're not saying that depression doesn't exist for Christians, because it does. But we should be changing to be like Christ. And as a Christian, if you're struggling with those things, you need to talk to somebody about it. So this is an opportunity to do that. This is an opportunity to say, there are biblical helps for a Christian who's depressed. And I would say that most of us, if we were honest, have been depressed at one point or another. It's hard to live in this world, so we want to acknowledge and make sure that we understand that that's real. We don't want to like just glad hand our kids and say, you know what, if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be depressed. That's not true. We do face tough things, and we still struggle with sin. And so make sure that you're both gentle and compassionate as you talk about these things. So anyway, I'm praying for you.